Hi, my name is Kuba, and I'm a support hero here at LiveChat. And today I'd like to talk about groups and their effective usage in LiveChat. So let me show you the agenda for today. We'll start with the basics. So what are groups and what can you achieve with them? I'll walk you through some of the most common use cases that appear in our daily life in support. So hopefully you'll find one that fits your. The next, I will show you inside the application how to create groups, how to manage them, customization, applying them to websites, and so on and so forth. The next point, we'll move to the more advanced setups. And here I'm going to show you a few of setups that require a little bit of coding. I'm going to show you the code that I'm using to do certain things with groups and what use cases those cover. And lastly, if we'll have some time, there will be a short Q&A session. So I do my best to answer all of your questions. So the use cases that groups cover, for example, multiple domains. We get a lot of questions in LiveChat in the support if LiveChat can be installed on multiple domains. The answer is yes. We do not limit how many websites you can cover with one LiveChat account. You can install it on as many as you need and as many as you want. However, some of you have different brands, different types of website. So the code of LiveChat is only one, and you install it on all of the pages. So the question arises, how the widget will be different one from another. And here the groups come to the aid. Nextly, thanks, Marcus. If you have different departments inside of your team, for example, customer success or support or sales, and you want all of those to use LiveChat and utilize the powerful tool that we offer, groups are something that will help you with that. Not only groups allow you to separate your team between the departments themselves, however, they also allow you to separate the incoming chats between those three. They allow your visitors to choose the team that they want to speak to directly from the widget in the pre-chat survey. Also, though the groups have reports separated by them. So you know how your sales team is performing, how your support team is performing, or the customer success team is performing. One of the next use cases that groups help you with is multi-language sites. So most of you have websites that cover few languages, for example, English and German, or French, and Italian, or any other language that you want. LiveChat widget can have only one language at a time. However, when you use groups, each group can have a separate language. So you can have a group for English, you can have a group for German, you can have a group for French. Separate reporting, I mentioned that while talking about the departments. However, there's few more cases that I'm going to show you later on. Groups allow you to manage the agent's priority inside of them. We're talking here about the custom groups, so the ones that you create. In those, you can have agents with different priorities. So for example, you have more skilled agents that should get their chats first. You can set them as primary. And if you have agents that are a little bit less skilled, that are learning the ropes, or for example, their main role is not chatting, you can set them up as secondary. And the different branding, I've mentioned that with multiple domains, that's something that you can achieve with groups. So have a different brand per group, and that group can go on over a one website or another, or even within the same website. I'm going to show you now how. Let's move into the application itself. So let's start with how to create a group and assign an agent to it. So firstly, move over to the agent section on the left. As you can see, I already have a few agents prepared. Choose groups from the top. And in here, choose the Add a New Group button. You need to name your group. So let's call it Webinar Group 2. And group cannot go without a member. So need to add a member. Let's say it's definitely not going to be me. You can confirm. The priority in here is set as primary by default, and save changes. And that's how you create a group and assign an agent to it. What else you can do is, while inviting an agent, you can choose the groups that the agents will automatically be assigned to. For example, both of our webinar groups, and the invitation will be sent 3 dots. And the invitation sent already goes to all 3 groups. As you can see, my third account in here is already added to the webinar groups. So let's move to the place where you can customize each group. You go to the settings, and in here, let's start with the top one. It's going to be the chat widget. You can change the setup per group by using the drop-down on the top and choosing the group that you want to modify. Let's modify the group that we just created, so the webinar group 2. I'm going to change the appearance to, let's say, modern. I'm going to change the color to green. Save the changes. Position. Okay, we're going to move this one to the left of the site just to showcase how you can differ the ones between the pages. And in here, I'm just going to disable the notifications for the customers. Okay. Next place you can customize your group is the language section. In here, you can change the language of your chat widget per group. So this one's cover the use case when you have multi-language sites. So this one, for example, is going to be in, Deutsch. This one is going to be in German. Okay, moving forward, the next place you can customize per group are chat forms and surveys. In here, you can have different questions added per different groups. Yes, we do have a mobile application. You can find it in App Store and Play Store by searching for LiveChat Lite. The application is awesome. Just shout out to our mobile team. And in here, you can ask any question that are related to the group that you're creating for, let's say, a different brand or a department. So, for example, if you're managing different shops, you can ask in here for tracking ID or order number, so that an agent that covers this particular shop will have the answer and will be able to help you directly without asking further questions through the chat. The same you can do in a post-chat survey. If you have any questions that are related directly to the group that you're covering. For example, how did my agent do, or was your case resolved in the chat? You can ask those in here. The same goes for the queued visitors. All of those are customizable per group, and the ticket form as well. The next place in which you can customize per group, no problem, is the engagement and targeted messages. In here, each group can have their own targeted messages. So you can have different invitations that suit exactly the place that you need them. For example, if you're going to invite people to chat on a page that's a shop, you can offer discounts by those. However, if you're having customer support portal or of sorts, you can ask questions in here or invite customers to the chat by encouraging them to ask questions to your agents. The next thing in which is customizable per group is the eye catcher. In here in the general group, this one is disabled. In here, as you can see, the one is up and will pop out. Here, chat buttons. I'm going to come back to this a little bit later on, as those require installing a code in a website, and I'm going to show you how to do that and what are the most common cases or troubles with those. Next, in agent tools, you can have canned responses and tags per group. So each group will have their respective canned responses, so that sales team doesn't need canned responses for support team, and vice versa. Support team doesn't need the ones for the sales team. So in here, you can separate those as well. Same goes for tags. If a sales team needs to tag a chat as a lead, you can have it added in their respective group. However, if your support team needs to tag a chat as support, they also have their own place to go and set up the tags. As well, email notifications, you can customize per group. And that would be the most, the basic configuration and what can go inside a group. What else? The next, I'm going to show you how to assign a group to a page. The most basic way is through URL rules. This is a way that is available inside the application and allows you to connect the group that you already created to a page by using its URL address. So let's add our first rule. And we're going to use, let's say, this website. And how those work. If your customer visits a page address that contains a word or, for example, checkout, in here, you can paste or provide a piece of a string from the URL. As you can see, I copied the main address of my website. And then what that rule should do is route chats to, and in here, you can choose the group. I'm going to choose, let's say, the first one. And when you add your rule, it's basically it. So that page that contains these words will now route to the group that's called Webinar Group 1. And we can check it by refreshing the page. As you can see, the widget changed from bubble, which was a default for my general group, to a bar, which is what I've set up for the group Webinar 1. See here. While we're here in the URL rules, I want to mention the general rule. The general rule is a fallback rule. So if you have a page that doesn't have a group assigned, either through URL rules, which we've added right now, or through the code, which I'm going to show you later in the advanced setup, it will route chats to a group of your choosing. By default, it routes to all agents. All agents is basically the general group. A chat in LiveChat, as well as website or a widget, cannot live without a group. That's why the general rule exists, so that chats do not go into a void, that just go to a certain place. And why is it all agents? It's because it's better to have the biggest group answer your chats in case of a fallback. So if a page doesn't have a rule, for example, you've forgotten, or it got stuck somewhere and you didn't know that this page has LiveChat installed, it's better that the chat is routed to the general group, to all agents, so that your agents can then transfer it to a person that actually should have taken this chat. What else? I'm going to show you how inside a pre-chat survey you can allow your visitors to choose a group. To do that, you need to add an element that's called group selection. In here, you can ask a question. For example, choose a department. However, it can be whatever you want. Like, are you a current member, or did you order a package, or who would you like to speak to? So let's say we're going to choose a department here that's going to be a support, and it's going to route to our support group, which was the number 2, and here we're going to add sales, which routes to our webinar group 1. So now all the pages that load the general group, I believe it will be this one. Oh, sorry. I need to refresh this section. Yes, hello, hi. We'll have an option to choose a department. So in here, you can see both of those are online. So I can start a chat with the support group, and the chat goes to an agent that will be handling my chat. You can minimize that, and I'm going to show you something inside the traffic section. In here, you can see that we have one visitor inside the group general. However, I do not see the chat that is happening here. And why is that? That's because live tracking works only for the groups that you are in. At the moment, my account is only in the webinar group 1 and general. So I'm going to add myself to the second one, save the changes, and now I can see the chat that's happening in a different group, which I was not able to see before because I was not in this group. Here's a good place to mention that agents, so your representatives that have only, I'm going to change it really quick, agent access.
Incoming chat.
Yes, I dropped the chat, I know, sorry. Of agent access can see and view only chats, reports, and traffic from the groups that they're in. So if an agent would be in group webinar group 1, however, will not be in the webinar group 2, he will not be able to see chats that happened or are happening cross group. This is a security feature, so that if you're covering different domains and have agents that cover, for example, one shop to another, they do not get your customer information from the other group. However, if you are an administrator or an owner, as me in this case, in archives, you can see all chats, regardless of the group that you are in. This is a feature that's available only for admins. So I can see chats from the group 2, from the general, from the group 1. However, if I was only an agent, I would not be able to see chats that are not in my group. While we're in the archives, you can filter the chats by group. So we can check, for example, as a supervisor, if how the chats inside the group that's, for example, under yours, it's under your supervision, how the agents were performing. The same goes for tickets, where you can, for example, see tickets from all groups and filter them by group. The same goes for archives. In here as well, agents can see only the ones that are the group that they're assigned to. Nothing cross-group is happening for the basic level of permissions inside the live chat, while supervisors with admin accounts are able to view those. However, as you saw in here, I had to click the button to show tickets from all groups. What else? Let's talk a little bit about the general group, because those are questions that arise really often, and it's a really common case. The general group, as you can see, lacks the pen icon, the edit one, for example, like here. That's because general group is a list of all agents. So everyone is inside of it. That being all other agents, your bots, and basically that's it. You can have more. But it's not editable. It is a place, technical place, that had to be in live chat, that all agents are inside of it. And unfortunately, you cannot edit permissions, name, and who is inside of it. However, as a workaround, you can create a custom group, call it, for example, General 2. And in here, you can have the agents that you want, as with any other custom group. Okay, we had the setup, we had assigning a group to a page. Let's talk about the greetings. Inside the greeting, that's not important. You have conditions. In here, in condition, you can have the current page URL contains something. In here, we have a group assigned that is webinar 1, if you remember. So I'm going to copy this part and enter it in here, so that now this greeting will fire only on pages that contain a string from the first website that I showed you. However, if I refresh the page and wait those 5 seconds, nothing will happen. And that's one of the most common mistakes that happen in live chat. Even though greetings themselves have a current page condition, if this page, so this one, isn't inside the group that I'm setting the greeting for, in this case, this group, this page loads group webinar number 1, the greeting from another group, even though has the URL set the same, won't fire. what you need to do if you want greetings to fire on specific pages, you need to make sure that you check the group that is assigned to that page. In our case, you can check that inside the URL rules in here. And after that, create a greeting that will have this URL condition. Give it a second. Okay, what happened? Oh, it is in here. Wait. Okay, let's move forward. Each group of yours can have a chat page. In here, you can copy a link that would directly route your visitors into a chat with a given group. So for example, you're sending a newsletter and you'd like to route the chats from it to your sales team because they would be the best to handle those cases. You can attach such direct chat link, for example, in the footer of the email. And each group has their own. They differ only by adding the ID of the group at the end of the string. And the same goes for the third group. We've talked about archives, tickets, traffic, customization. What else? In some places, you need to provide what's called a group ID. The group ID, it's group's unique number that differ it from any other. And how to check it? Go to the Agents tab on your left, choose Groups from the top, click on the group, and its ID will be the number at the end of the string. In this case, it's 1. The general group will always be group 0. And our third group, in this case, it's number 2. The same numbers as at the end of the direct chat link. Okay, I think from basics, we've covered all of the customization and all of things that go into the groups. I'm going to mention that. There was a webinar before by my colleague Darek that was about the reports. Darek mentioned that reports can be filtered by the groups. And here the situation is the same, like it doesn't change. You can filter the reports as same as archives, tickets, or your traffic via group. In this case, you can see how different teams of yours are performing, how different languages are performing, how different domains, websites, or channels even are performing, and filter those by their respective group. By mentioning channels, you can route chats from different channels. For example, oh, pop-up is blocked, sorry. You can route chats from Facebook Messenger to a group. In this case, I created a test fan page that's called Webinar Groups, and all chats from that fan page will go to the group that's called Webinar Group 1. Such thing allows you to not only have right people answering chats from their respective channel, but if you're data-driven and you want to know how your channels are performing, you can have group per channel. In this case, you could have a group that's only for social media channels, like Facebook, and then you will be able to check how chats from this particular channel and the people handling them are performing in archives by filtering per group, and by reports also by filtering per group. Integrations that support this are, for example, like here, Facebook Messenger, our Apple Business Chat, Twilio integration, so the SMS channel, WhatsApp integration as well, that's available in our marketplace, as well an email channel. Email channel in LiveChat works so that your emails that arrive at your particular inbox, for example, support one or sales one or domain one, shop one, blah, blah, blah one, are routed into the LiveChat and create tickets for your agents. So in here, by clicking connect your email, I will get the setup for how to route emails inside the LiveChat. So choose your sales or support name. It's going to be support team. And here is an address that you need to set the forwarding to in your inbox. For example, if it's Gmail or Outlook or any other mail clients, those would have to forward emails to this address. Those would then create tickets that would be available inside your tickets section and would be sourced from your email. What else was that? Okay, quickly coming back to the use cases I've mentioned earlier. Splitting your team into the departments, I believe that's covered how to achieve that. Separate domains businesses, the way to do that is exactly the same. You create a group, you can name it by the domain that the group would be assigned to. That's an easy way for you to keep track which group goes where, and then which agents goes to which group. Creating different widgets per site, so that's as well, I believe, covered. Managing priority. Okay, I mentioned that, but I didn't show you how to do that. Let's go inside this group, and in here you can see the priority and the drop-down that's inside in here. So in this drop-down, you can choose if the agent is primary and secondary. The primary agents are the ones that will receive chats in a given group first. Such agents are usually the more skilled ones and are the ones that you want to funnel the chats to, because they will handle them better. However, there's also a secondary priority available. Such priority will get chats only if all of the primary agents in the group are full and they don't have a spot for yet another one. So let's say Kuba, let's remove this one just for the sake of showcasing this. In this case, if Kuba in here would have all of his concurrent chat limits filled, in this case that would be 3 by default, the fourth chat that would get assigned in this group would go to definitely not Kuba, because he's the secondary agent in here. Okay, that's it. As I've mentioned, unfortunately, you're not able to route chats to the general group. Manage priority inside the general group, but that's what you can do inside all of the custom ones. Okay, which use case I did not cover is, oh, transferring chats between groups. Let's start a chat inside one of the groups.
Incoming chat.
And such chat can be transferred to a different group. For example, I'm going to transfer it to the second agent that's available right now. And this chat went to definitely not me, into the general group. Now, there are situations in which you'd like to transfer a chat to a different group. However, when you click to the transfer menu, there is no options available in there. And that's a question that sometimes is asked to our support team. And it's simple to answer. You won't be able to transfer a chat to a different group if there's no agents available to handle a chat inside this group. So for example, if you are in both of those groups, that's okay, but you are not able to transfer a chat to yourself, that there needs to be another person in that second group. Okay, that would be, I believe, all for the basics of the usage of the groups. I'm going to move to more advanced setup. And in here, I would like to start with loading the group through the code. So as I mentioned earlier, you can assign a group to a page by using the URL rules, like in here. However, there is also an option to load the group through the LiveChat JavaScript snippet directly inside the page. And in here, I believe it's this one. Okay, sorry, a little bit, a moment for it to load the project. Those are few basic websites only. That's just pure HTML, nothing super advanced in here, just article. In here, you have the LiveChat tracking code, your license number, and all of the fancy stuff that goes inside. This line is the one that I'm talking about. It allows you to load the group directly through the code. There are situations in which this setup is more powerful than the URL rules. For example, you want to have two groups loaded within the same domain, however, their rules collide. So in such case, you can add this line of code to the pages that you want to load the group in here, ID 1, and on the other domains, on the other side, on the other sites inside this domain, the ID other one. And here's the ID that I've mentioned and how to check it. That's from where you need to fetch the ID of the group that you want to load. As well in here, there's a line that chat between groups false. And it might seem enigmatic at the beginning. However, by default, when you enter a page with LiveChat, it loads with a group. Either the group is assigned through code or through URL rule. That group will then follow you as a visitor through all the pages that have the same LiveChat code installed. That's a basic feature of our tracking code. So it allows you and your visitors to not drop the chat session if they're moving through your pages, because that's the best customer experience. However, there can be situations in which a visitor from page 1 enters a page 1. For example, it's a shop that sells shoes. So the group for selling shoes loads to that person, Then that person moves to your second website that sells codes. The group from the first website will follow the visitor to the second one, because those have the same LiveChat tracking code installed. So in here we land in a situation when the visitor will be on the page selling codes and will ask about shoes, which can lead to some confusion. Handy in here comes this line: chat between groups equals false. This line prevents chats from going from a page with assigned group 1 to group 2. So in between those, when the customer would go from the page with group 1 to the page with group 2, the chat session would be broken. So in this case, person asking about the shoes would have a different group and would be able to ask about the codes on the group, on the second group. Okay, so that's loading the group through the code. How to fetch the ID I've showed you. I've explained how to break chat session between the groups. What would be the next? Okay, one of very common use cases is when you want to load your chat only on few pages. So for example, you want your visitors to only be able to chat on your product pages inside your shop, or only inside the help center in your domain. However, not on your homepage or landing pages, so that the chat does not interrupt them in there. However, okay, stop it. I'm going to stop it here. For such, you can simply install the LiveChat tracking code only on the pages that you want. So you only install LiveChat tracking snippets, this one in here, only on the pages that you want the chat. So inside the help center, only on product pages. Then if a person moves or lands on a different page than the product ones, there won't be chat. However, some of you might want the chat to only be available to access in there. However, when the user starts the chat, for the chat to be carried over. And that's somehow a troublesome setup, but it's manageable, and I'm going to show you how. In such, by default, you want to install LiveChat tracking code through your whole domain, so that each page has the tracking code so that the session can be carried over. However, then, you want to have a group. I'm going to create one. It's going to be the test one. I'm going to add an agent to it. And let's say you want only the webinar group 1 available on certain pages. For such, you need to create a second group, the test one. The test one group should be set up like this. You go to the customization, to the position, and in here, you choose to always hide the minimized chat widget, so that if a person lands on a page that loads this group, the chat widget is hidden. So it's not accessible in there. That's a part of the setup you want. What else? You need to disable all greetings in this group so that they don't trigger the chat widget. Next, you need to go to the URL rules and create a rule that contains your whole domain address, for example, domain.com, to route to this particular, to this group that we just created, so that the one with hidden widget and disabled greetings. And once you add it, now you need to change the rule to is exactly And in here, add the pages that you want the chat widget to appear and load the group for these pages. Something like this. The exactly rule is more powerful than the contain rule. So even though the, the domain.com/help contains the domain.com, which would seem that these two are overlapping, the exactly rule will be loaded as in priority on this particular one. So in this case, a person lands on your landing page. Your landing page contains the domain.com, routes to the group that has the widget hidden. Then the person goes to a page inside your help center. The help center loads the group that you want accessible for them, and he can in there start a chat. And while moving from that page to anyone inside of your domain, the chat will be carried over because you have the tracking code installed in there, and the group that was loaded on the exactly site will be following the visitor with the started chat already. So that's one of the more advanced setups that you can do with groups. Let's move to another one. In URL rules, as you can see, there's only ways to load a group through the address of the page. In support, we get some/a lot of questions if we can have two types of routing. And the one is through geolocation, and the second one for the mobile website. And while you can edit settings, how the widget looks like on just the mobile page, you might want, if you, for example, data-driven, want to check how your mobile website is performing compared to the desktop ones. In such case, what you need to do is this. In here, I've written a short code that by checking the user agent, so basically the device that the user is using, by checking it, and then via simple if loads a group for the mobile, and else if not, it will just load any other group, so that the desktop one. With such setup, with such code, you are able to follow how the mobile group is performing, how your mobile application or your mobile website, what's the conversion rate, how many chats there are, how the agents perform across those. And you can achieve that via loading group through the code and recognizing if your user is using a mobile device, as in here. User agent is, I believe, the simplest one. Some might argue it's not the best, but complicated regex are not my strong side. So I stuck with the user agent, and I can show you how that looks like in here. So that's one group when we are on desktop page. However, I'm going to use the, as you can see in here, group ID is 0. So that's the general rule. I'm going to use the the device, and for example, I'm going to use the responsive one. I'm going to refresh the page. As you can see, we got the alert that I've set up that the code detected the page is mobile, and via this, it loaded a different group, as you can see, ID1. So with such setup, you can know how to have, for example, a different setup on a mobile when it comes to the greetings, because greetings do not have a mobile condition as well, or how to check reports across how the type of your site, so desktop versus mobile site. And refreshing once more will bring us back to the general group. And here, okay. The second use case I've mentioned is loading a group per geolocation of your client, and, for example, denying some of the countries to join the chat with you. Maybe because you're based in the US and you want only US clients to be able to chat with you, or you're based in India and you want only your locals to be able to chat with you. LiveChat, unfortunately, natively does not have geolocation routing yet. However, there is an option to do that, and here's the code that I'm using to achieve it. A moment for it to load, sorry. Okay, it's okay. Oh. In here, I'm using an API provided by Extreme IP Lookup, so to check the country code of the person that enters my page. And via simple, again, if function as inside the mobile group, I can disable certain countries from accessing my widget. I'm currently based in Poland, so if I'm in Poland, like in here, I'm going to block access to the chat widget, and console log, I'm going to display a message that you're from a forbidden country. Else, if not from Poland, you'd be able to access the website. And here it is. I'm going to refresh the page. As you can see, there is no chat widget available because I'm from a forbidden country. So via such setup and checking the geolocation through the JavaScript on your website, you can block access to the chat widget for certain countries, or reverse, allow only certain countries to chat with you. If I'm going to check it to anything else, now the chat widget loads for me normally because I'm not from the country of the origin that I've excluded from the chat widget. So that's yet another advanced setup that you can do with groups. And yeah, I believe I've mentioned it already. However, I'm going to mention it once again. Through such setups, like the advanced ones and the basic ones, you can filter the reports per group. So where I'm going with it. Some of our users are really data-driven, and reports are very important part of the application itself and their daily lives. So some of you want to check how different domains are performing. That was covered by also how different channels are performing. So in here, with the mobile group setup, you know how your mobile website is performing compared to the desktop one. Or you can check how your social media channels like Facebook Messenger is performing, or how your ABC channel is performing. You also can choose from the channels in here. There will be chat widget is all of the widgets installed in the groups, installed on the pages, and few channels that are already in here, like Facebook Messenger or Twilio, etc., will also be available. What else? As well, in here, you can differ that per country, so how countries are performing, or, oh, I didn't cover one use case. I was going to go back to it. And languages. I've mentioned languages, but I didn't show you how to do that. So by going to the language, we've changed one of the websites to the one of the groups to be in German language. So to have a language group loaded on your website, what you can do is go to the URL rules. And if your website uses, for example, /de at the end of, in a part of the URL, you can route to the group that has the German language available. Otherwise, if your page is dynamic, I'd suggest to load the group through code using, sorry, this one, using the LC group equals group ID parameter, so that in a dynamic pages, when you have a variable for the language, the group with the language is loaded via this variable, sorry, because not everyone has the URL that contains DE, ENG, PL, or anything like this. Then loading the group through the code comes in very handy. Okay. I've covered most of the advanced setups I've wanted. Lastly, just two honorable mentions. One will be our mobile SDKs. You can find those if you go to our documentation. Please remember that we have a live coding session. We invite everyone to join. Go to the chat widget, and in here, you will find mobile chat widgets per iOS and Android. I'm going to open those two. And in both of those, you have a setup that allows you to load the group. Again, it's available via loading the ID. So if you have a mobile application that you want to know how it performs, and you want to include LiveChat with it, go to our documentations chat widget. You can find our repositories and how to install the widgets over in there. And last but not least, honorable mention to chatbots, which can also transfer chats to agents. And this transfer is based by groups. So while using the new beautiful visual builder, you can set with the success path of the transfer to group. And in here, you can also provide the ID of the group. While leaving the value -1 will leave the chat inside the same group that it started with the chatbot. You can choose any other ones based off what path, what branch your user chose inside your chatbot story. And I believe that would be it. That's all about the groups, that's basic setup, how they work, what you can use them for, and advanced setups that I had prepared for you today. So if you have any questions, you can ask them in chat on our YouTube channel, and I do my best to answer those now. Huge thanks to the Success team. They're lovely, and you should go to check out all the stuff that they're producing. They're amazing people, and just very good job, Success. Okay, I don't see any questions appearing right now. I hope everything is clear. If you have any questions about the groups or how to set up your live chats, if you have any troubling use case, like, for example, loading group through the code or having mobile website or blocking some countries, you know where to find our widget. You can chat with all our support heroes 24/7. We are available for you. And thank you for today.